So he's taken my wife as a concubine, and then she's divorced me. And so now, like, I'm like, what the fuck? And so then I immediately start plotting to kill him. Like,
GG, time to re-roll a campaign at that point.
Yeah, put some F's down in the comments for Ginger's wife. I mean, that's a rough life.
I'm committed, you know, to this character and not to, like, restarting or anything. So now I gotta go find a new wife and, like, you know, start making babies again.
You should go steal a Danish wife, dude, like some Viking wife.
I know,
Just
right?
beat him off is what you should have done.
Beat him off. I should have done that.
I think his wife's doing that plenty now, or his ex-wife, sorry. All right, we're live.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Easy Company Podcast, Episode 1. My name is AngryPrivateRyan. With me today, we have GingerBeerdGaming and 12 Tango Dom, and together we are Easy Company. So guys, this is the first go at this. Thank you for checking it out. We hope you have a good time. We're going to give you an outline of who we are as individuals, who we are as Easy Company, and what that really is and what that means to us, and kind of where we see all of this going and what you can expect from future podcasts. And then we're going to just jump right into a podcast, and we're going to start talking about video games and our lives. So thank you again for checking it out. Hope you enjoy. And we're going to just jump right into some introductions. So I'll lead us off. Again, my name is AngryPrivateRyan. Ryan is my actual name. And I've been streaming now for, I don't know, maybe 7 months. I started early this year in 2020 before things got all screwy. And, you know, I am a full-time finance business professional. I've been out of college now for almost 5 years. And working in finance ever since. And I live in the Midwest. It's you know, it's great, I guess. And you know, outside of streaming, I'm a big college sports fan. Love going to college football games. Love supporting my alma mater. I love craft beer. I love bourbon. If you've ever checked out my stream or do check out my stream, you'll know that I love me some bourbon. And I love hanging out with my friends. And that's really why I started streaming, because I love video games. I love my friends, and I like sharing, you know, the fun times I have on video games with my streams. And that's really what drove me to start streaming. So that's a bit about me in a quick nutshell, and I'll pass it off to Ginger.
1 second,
Right.
I couldn't tell that you like bourbon by looking at your profile picture over there.
Didn't know that.
You know, I gotta let people know what it's about, you know.
There will be bourbon.
There will be bourbon.
Yeah, so hello everybody. My name is Kyle. I go by the handle GingerBeerd. My channel is GingerBeerdGaming. I have been streaming for, I think actually it's closer to 9 months for me. I think I got started around either January or February of this year. And I work in the nonprofit sector. I'm a fundraiser and a community development professional. So I do work full time. When I started streaming back in February, I was on the cusp of quitting my job, and I quit my job in March, and then sort of started streaming a lot more and kind of developing the channel. I had been wanting to do it for a very long time, and then with life changes, it just happened that it worked out, and I could put some time and energy into it. And yeah, it's been a fun ride ever since. I hit affiliate in May, I believe, and then just been growing from there. I've played video games my entire life. We're going to talk a little bit about that, I think, on the podcast. But I've always been a gamer, and I've always been interested in streaming and just sharing stuff with the community. I think that games are a lot more fun when you're on stream with people and sharing those moments. So that's what I enjoy doing. I live in Colorado, and outside of streaming and gaming, I really don't have a lot of hobbies, actually. That's kind of my hobbies. But I do like, I like getting outside and, doing the hiking and the fishing and stuff. That
you got your puppy dogs.
I got my dogs. I've got a bunch of dogs, as you've probably seen on stream if you've been on a stream.
I think you need to pet your dogs more on stream.
I
I would
know.
enjoy watching that.
When I get, I'm about to move. So when I move, like we're gonna have a whole like it's gonna be a thing. We're gonna have a doggo cam that we switch back and forth.
We
to.
really do
Oh.
come to the stream just for the doggo cam.
I
it's
know.
basically
Oh,
what
trust
it
me.
is.
Yeah, I know. You're not the only ones. All right, Tango.
It looks like I'm the only one that doesn't have a drink in their picture, actually. So I might need to change.
Oh, yeah.
That might just mean that might be better off for you, brother. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, don't
What's up,
start.
guys?
Yeah. It's the devil's juice.
Hey, so I'm Tango or Dom, whatever you guys want to go by, but my Twitch handle and Twitter handle is 12TangoDom. I'm typically a variety streamer, but more of a focus on RPGs and more so survival, kind of that whole genre of gaming. So a lot of like Tarkov, DayZ, and other RPGs. I'll throw some Skyrim in there and whatever, Witcher 3 maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so I started streaming probably around February of this year, so around February 2020. It's been a really fun time. The reason I started streaming is because I am a big video gamer. I'm always going to play video games regardless. So if I'm going to be playing video games anyway, I might as well stream those adventures so that, you know, my friends and family and whoever else wants to come and watch can enjoy those video game adventures the same way that I do. It's been a real blast streaming. I've met a lot of awesome people like Ginger and Ryan and, you know, just countless others. So it's been a really, really fun time. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something to this intro.
What do you do?
What do you
Where
do?
you
Yeah,
from?
there you go. So yeah, I'm a soldier in the U.S. Army, currently active duty, and what I like to do for fun, I'm really typically an outdoorsy kind of person. So I love hiking. I love going out and camping in the wilds. You know, like finding some spot on a mountain and pitching a tent with some friends, roast some marshmallows, the whole nine. I love guns. I like going to the range. My favorite is my AK-47. I'm a huge advocate for AK-47s. So if you guys are thinking of buying one, I could tell you all the reasons why they are better than our AR-15s.
Seems sacrilegious for somebody.
I know, right? Like, isn't that the exact
You know,
opposite of the gun you want to hear out in the field?
No, so the thing is I've shot the M4 so much in the Army that I wanted to try out something new when I went and bought my first rifle. So I was like, I'm going to freaking buy an AK, and I absolutely love it, you know? So, I mean, they're reliable. They're freaking just a blast. They're a blast. Plus, you know, Tarkov, like, really sold me on AKs. So
when I was actually, I had an infatuation for the AK as well growing up. I was big into like Vietnam games, and like so the M60 and the AK-47 for some reason I was like all about it. But I get it. We're gonna start calling you Kalashnikov. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I feel like somebody that's active duty in the military that likes AKs is kind of like somebody who works on an oil rig and is into like Priuses or something. Like, I feel like...
First of all, your first mistake is comparing an AK to a Prius in any way.
Or even better, is like super into Teslas, like 100% off.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's works out
completely.
Well, so the thing is, so I've always wanted like an AK-74, right? Which is like the 5.45 variant. Problem is, I couldn't find one for sale here in the US that was new because I didn't want my first rifle to be used. I didn't know enough about AKs to know what to look for in a used rifle, right? So I was like, okay, screw it. I'm just gonna go ahead and buy. There's a 5.56 variant available, and I wanted that. And then I was like, you know what? No, I want my first AK to be like a 7.62. You know, like just that classic AK boom, right? So I ended up getting the 7.62 at 39 AK. Basically, it's an AKM, but you know, civilian style, so it doesn't fire in automatic. And I modified the hell out of it. And, you know, they're just really awesome for their reliability. Like, I've had so many issues with my M4 jamming because a little bit of sand gets in the action while you're, you know, in the prone position, and people were walking by and they're kicking sand into your chamber, and it's really freaking annoying. But, you know, it brings a whole lot of issues with the gun jamming and stuff. You could watch videos of AKs, guys. You can literally pour sand inside of the chamber while this thing is firing, and it'll just freaking unload an entire magazine. There's videos of a dude who took his AK out of a swamp that he left there for 2 days, racked it up and just cleared an entire magazine out of it. I mean, it's really just a phenomenal piece of equipment. So that's all. I'm not going to go on a whole tangent about AKs. I can talk about
Too
this
late.
for
We're
the
there,
entire
man.
podcast. I could talk about this for the entire podcast. So we should just move on to the next subject before I get carried away.
Hey, that's what this is about. This is gonna be us going on a lot of tangents. This is gonna be us talking about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So Angry Private Ryan, our host, tell us about what Easy Company is, please.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
yeah.
I'd like to know. I just woke up. So
well, so I would also like to know what it's about. No, I'm just kidding. Why am I here again? So Easy Company, guys. This is what we are calling, a stream team, let's call it. But this is really more about us finding. Ginger and myself, Angry Private Ryan, we've known each other for a very long time. And again, we kind of have the same background when it comes to video games, at least as of late. We found Tango kind of in the, I think Kyle found him first through Tarkov and whatnot, but really
the
what
woods,
this,
fishing an AK out of a swamp.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, like, you want to come? You want to see how I can just clear this mag real quick, right? Like,
let me show you AK."
But really, what it is, I mean, you kind of noticed it through the introductions. We all started streaming about the same time. We all are kind of into the same games. We all have a similar vibe, and we all kind of stream for the same reasons. And so we thought, it'd be cool to kind of create this way for us to get together, talk about our streams, talk about gaming, and kind of help kind of bring our communities together and help, grow our communities and just help give us just another outlet. We already have our streams in our community. So this is just kind of another outlet for us to play video games, talk about video games, and really just create kind of this larger conglomerate of a community for us to talk about. So, the goals of this, and you guys jump in, but really the goals of this are really just for us again to have kind of a combined community. We still have our communities, right, as streamers and whatnot, but we all three of us have a very similar way of how we go about our gaming careers, I'll call them, and our communities. And so it really just kind of provides us another little outlet to be there. And so, you're going to see a lot more content coming out, I think, from all of us. These podcasts was something we thought about kind of early on when we were talking about a stream team. And honestly, the podcast is one of the things I'm most excited about when it comes to Easy Company. I've been into podcasts for a long time. And I think this is a cool way for us to just, provide our communities with more content and give them a little more of an insight into, how we think.
It serves as a great way, I think, to get the communities to get to know who we are a little bit better, because that's the nice thing about Twitch, right? Is that building that community, you get to know people, and part of that is your community getting to know you as the streamer as well. That's why they're hanging out, because they like you enough to come and hang out in your stream, and you enjoy their company. And so this podcast kind of serves as a way to get everybody to get to know who we are on an even more focused level than just while we're playing video games, but kind of who we are on the outside, and maybe even why we're playing video games, and why we're doing all the other stuff that we do.
Yeah, and we're just, I mean, I don't know, I think I speak for everybody. We're just giant nerds. I mean, we all have the kind of the same, and so like we love to just sit and bullshit about gaming and games. And like we had our first little test podcast, pilot episode where we just ranted for like 45 minutes. So you're going to get probably a lot of that with these podcasts, but hope you enjoy it. So
yeah, absolutely. So these other guys can correct me, but in my mind, where we see Easy Company going is kind of an open-ended book, I'd say. There's a lot of we have a lot of ideas floating around. We just hope you guys enjoy it and come hang out. And this is, I'm just really excited about kind of creating content with you guys and having that. So just stay tuned. I would say, everyone, there's a lot to come, and we hope you enjoy. And we've got a lot of cool ideas floating around.
Yeah, baby.
So with that being said, I think we need to just jump right into our the real content of this podcast. What do you
Let's
guys
start the
think?
podcast.
All right, start the podcast. All right, so you can hit record, right, Dom? So, all right, guys. So I think, with this being episode 1, the very first time, people are kind of getting to know us, or us as a team here together. I thought it'd be cool that we talk about the history video games have played, in our lives. So obviously, I think we've all said video games have been a part of our lives, the whole time we've been, at least we can remember since kids, right? So I think it'd be cool to just talk about that, and I think we can go on for a while. So I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, what was the first video game you guys ever remember playing?
I think it would have been for me. I can't pinpoint it to the very first one. The first ones I remember playing were old Nintendo, like the original Nintendo games, like Super Mario. My uncle had a whole bunch of like weird kind of fringe games. Like I remember this one. I can't remember. One of these days I'll remember the name of it and go look it up. But it was one where like you moved like the little chess pieces around and they were fantasy figures, and then like when they met, you actually had like a little mini game where they would like the dragon would battle the little knight or something like that. I can't remember the name of that game. And then probably the other ones that I remember playing a lot were like old Windows 95 games. Like I was actually thinking about this week in preparation for this podcast, like Lords of the Realm. My dad was really into. I think those were like the first ones that I did. I actually didn't have a console of my own until the PS1, and then I didn't get another one until the Xbox 360. So most of my gaming was PC, and then that little bit of console. I played the hell out of my PS1 back in the day, and my 360. But
yeah, I didn't get my first console was a PS1. And really the first video game like that I really remember playing was on the PlayStation. It was Crash Bandicoot, the very first Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah,
nice.
That's the first game I can remember. Like I can remember myself sitting down and just playing a bunch of, and I played a lot of games on the PlayStation, but that was the first one I really ever played. I do remember always going to my cousin's. He had like the old Segas and stuff like that, Nintendo 64. And playing games on those. But me personally, Crash Bandicoot, man, that you want to talk about nostalgia. They recently released the remaster of all those old Crash Bandicoot games, and I was on top of that like a pig on shit. And that was so much fun. It was so nostalgic, but at the same time, holy shit, those games are hard. And I don't know how like little kid Ryan was actually able to do that, because I can't do it now as a functioning adult, and like with actual problem solving skills. Yeah, functioning is. I say
Remember
that
bourbon conversation.
Yeah. Hey. Maybe that is the issue. I don't know, but like I get so freaking mad, and I've got I'm just sitting there like, how did I do this? How did I beat these games as a kid? But it drove me nuts. But yeah, those old timey like platformers, I guess is kind of what you would call them. But that's where I remember my first kind of video game experience.
I can't really pinpoint the first game that I played, but I can tell you the first console that I remember playing, and that's the Sega Genesis. So I grew up with 2 older brothers, like much older than I was, and they were always into video games, especially my oldest brother. I would like watch him play video games, right? Which kind of like was streaming back in the day, right? Like watching your older brother play video games. But I remember him playing a lot of like Tomb Raider on the PS1, and like I remember playing Crash Bandicoot and stuff. But Sega Genesis, I remember playing Sonic and House of the Dead, where they had like the freaking gun that you point at the screen, like the laser sensor stuff.
Yeah,
that was crazy technology for that time, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I completely forgot that existed.
Dude, that game was so fun. I don't even remember if there was a save feature in the game. I never figured it out because I guess I was too young, so I would just start the game from the beginning every time, and I would replay the same freaking levels over and over and over and over again, and I would freaking love it. I mean, it was just a great game. But since then, I remember getting a Nintendo 64, playing a lot of GoldenEye. I don't know if you guys played much of that, but I was on that religiously. Yep. And whatever else was on Nintendo 64 at the time, I can't even, like all the Mario Karts, of course, Mario Party, Smash Bros. Transition to GameCube, PS2, God of War, freaking oh my god, dude, yeah. I've had basically every console up until like the PS3s or PS3 and Xbox 360. So I had PS3 and Xbox 360 for a little while. I have an Xbox One now, but I don't even play it because ever since I got my hands on World of Warcraft, I got a PC for World of Warcraft, and then that basically was my transition into PC gaming from consoles, and I've never really went back since. But
yeah,
remember my first PC I bought, and then I built my own. The hell is a gnat over here? I built my own, and then that just got like too outdated, so I ended up building another one, which is the one I have now, and I freaking love this thing like it's my child. And yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's your baby.
That's kind of my history, though. I've been playing video games my entire life, like probably most of us that are even watching this podcast have. So
yeah, I went from I had it like I said, PlayStation was my first console. I got the PS2 when it came out. PS2, boy, you talk about like good old days. That was,
oh my god,
I can't even explain. And then after the PS2, so it was the PS2 and the Xbox. The original Xbox were the competitors in that realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
The generation, and then the 360 came out, and I made the switch to Xbox after that, and I had the 360 from there on out. I've never owned a PlayStation since. But then right about the same time it might have even been a little bit before that, was when I kind of forayed into PC gaming as well. And I remember playing Delta Force Black Hawk Down was one of the first first person shooters that I played online and stuff. And I played the hell out of that game. And that was kind of my foray into PC gaming. And I kind of tiptoed the line. I played both, console and PC when the 360 was out. And then I built a computer when like the Call of Duty 2 and stuff was a big thing. And then from there on out, up until when I went to college, I was hardcore PC basically only, and played the heck out of PC games. And then when I went to college, I ended up selling my PC because I didn't have room to take it out to college. So then I kind of got back into console gaming for a while, and then I got out of college, and here we are again. I built my PC after I got out of college, and I won't go back, man. I same thing. I've got an Xbox One, but that thing is really just a dust collector at this point.
Yeah, I don't even know if mine still works. It's probably just like dead inside now. It's probably like spiders living in it.
All dusty and cobwebs.
Wait, so what was the first PC game that you guys remember playing?
I think for me, it was like the very first one, I think was either, it had to be like, well, you guys probably don't even know what this is because this is like old school. My dad was into like, there was a brief window of time when he was really into like war games on PC. And so he had this game, he had two that I remember very distinctly. He had Lords of the Realm, which I talked about, which was like kind of an early Total War-ish sort of grand strategy game, kind of mixed with like some Age of Empires, like RTS style stuff, which was really fun. And then he also had a game called Steel Panthers, which was like a tactical, World War II to modern day, 20 years ago now, but modern day warfare, like tanks and stuff, which was pretty cool. But it was like literally like you move your little units around the hexes and stuff like that. So that was like my early exposure. And I've never really lost the bug for like kind of realistic sort of simulations and strategy games. I love those games. I always have. But yeah, those were the first ones. I mean, when I was getting a little older, on PC, a game that will always have a soft spot in my heart and made like a really good like impression on me as far as what RPGs could do was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I remember getting that game, not even really knowing what it was about, and like playing through the whole thing over a couple of months as a little kid. Like literally, we had like the one family computer in the in our upstairs room or whatever, and like kicking my little sisters off me like, no, I gotta go, I gotta go finish this storyline. It was really gripping. I gotta save the galaxy, damn it. That's the ones I remember most of, you know, on PC anyway.
My memory gets super fuzzy, right? Because I can never I can't pinpoint if this was before or after these certain times and whatnot. I do remember my grandparents had one of those old Macintoshes, and
Yeah.
they had some games. I know I played games on there, but I can't remember what they were. So I would say I think the first computer game I remember playing quite a bit, my uncle had see, and this is where I go back. I can't remember if this was before or after, but kind of twofold. One of my uncles had SimCity, the old SimCities.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I remember playing SimCity quite a bit. I always loved playing that at my uncle's house. And then, oddly enough, one of my other uncles, he had um, Flight Simulator like 98 or 95 or something. And I remember playing that quite a bit whenever I go to his place. And he actually had a joystick and stuff. It was kind of neat. So I got to play those. But one of those two games is probably one of the first computer games I remember playing. And it's kind of funny, to Kyle's point, I've never kicked the bug of, well, aviation. I'm a big aviation nerd. So, I mean, I've loved, the art of flying since I was a kid. So flight sims, I still play a bunch of, and same thing with like SimCity, the city builders kind of strategy type games. I've never kicked the bug on those either. So those have stuck with me.
Have you ever played
And
Cities Skylines?
Oh fuck
love
yeah,
City
dude.
Skylines.
Yeah.
I've
A lot.
put a lot of time into that one.
Me too, man.
I remember that was one of the first games I got when I built this computer.
Mhm.
I was about a year out of college up here, so that would have been like 3-ish years ago when I built this rig. Cities was one of the first games I bought with it, and I remember spending so many mornings on the weekends with like a cup of coffee and just playing City Skylines for hours on end.
Mhm.
Right?
And I love that game. It's an incredible game.
Isn't it such a weird thing to be so infatuated with just like building a city? Like you think video games, people were thinking like, you know, shooting stuff and like, you know, maybe doing something more stimulating, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but like just building a city and trying to keep a populace happy. Like there's something so soothing. That's one of those kind of like turn your brain off and just relax kind of games that I think we all need from time to time. I definitely do, especially after playing something like Tarkov. But I just remember the controls of that game was everything just like it made sense. Everything flowed so nicely, right? Like, you know, especially on a mouse and keyboard. I don't know how it worked on console because I think that game was on console too, right? I don't know. Something about that game's control scheme. I think so.
I think it might have ported over to console. I would never want to play a planning game like that on a controller, though.
No.
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Well, even playing something like Wasteland 3 or any other like, you know, strategy game, I just can't imagine playing that on a controller. You know, I need my mouse and keyboard for something like that.
Cities had an incredible soundtrack on it too.
Oh yeah, totally.
And it had like the ultimate chill vibes, like Sunday morning video game soundtrack, and I just loved it. But boy, that game really, you know, you say it's like one of those turn your brain off and relax games, but at the same time, that game was complex as shit.
Oh, dude, I had so many traffic jams in my city that I still don't know what to do about to this day. I never figured it out.
Honestly, like I feel like I don't give my city's whatever the infrastructure team, I don't give them enough credit because
shit's hard, man.
Yeah, that shit is hard. And I'm playing it at a point where you can just demolish anything with you know, whatever the hell you want. And then you know, but these people do it in real life, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give it to you, man, because holy shit. You know, when you've built a city, you know, you start out as a small city and you grow and you take your streets, and the way that game models traffic and the difficulties presented, you know, when
you don't control what your citizens are doing. They just do.
Holy shit. It was crazy. And then don't even get me started on, you know, I literally, my city grew so fast and then everyone died because I didn't have enough freaking I couldn't the logistics of getting the dead people to the crematory, and I mean it was just like everyone died, and I was like, well, I'm pretty bad at this.
See, I think that game illustrates to me like why I will always be a PC diehard, even if it was on console. Like because there are no like I love I'm almost positive that's a Paradox game, which I've been a big
It
fan
is.
of
It
Paradox
is.
for a long time. Um, I just actually we're probably going to talk about what games we're into later, but like I'm into Crusader Kings 3 now, which is crazy, crazy game. But I love the PC gaming. I got into we'll talk about like PC gaming. One thing that I really got into even before college, but absolutely in college, was a game called Mountain Blade Warband.
Oh
And
my god.
I had a shitty
Yes.
yeah, dude. I had a shitty ass Toshiba laptop,
And I had a
and that was
shitty ass
my
Asus laptop.
yeah, that was like my gaming rig, right? And it could run Mountain Blade Warband. And I know shit I think have like almost 1,000 hours in Mountain Blade Warband. And the reason why that game for the modding community, that's why I played so much of that game. And that's what bit me the most about PC gaming is like the kind of the breakdown between like who's like how you're interacting with the game because these super talented people are making mods that just transform your experience. And then some of them get, actually put into the game like Mountain Blade Warband. I mean, a lot of that 900 plus hours is Mountain Blade Warband Napoleonic Wars, which was this silly little mod, shouldn't have worked, but it transformed everything into Napoleonic Wars and your first person, third person, like a little soldier running around the battlefield with your single shot smoothbore musket and a bayonet, cavalry, sieges, artillery. I mean, that shit was so fucking fun. Like
Something about all the
Absolutely.
soldiers just screaming when they charge at each other
Yeah.
too.
yeah, yeah.
Ah!
Everybody gets into like the
Some
role playing
stupid
aspect
little
of it.
mechanic like that just makes the
Uh-huh.
experience that much better.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god.
I had a guy one time that I tried to get into that game, and he was like, "Oh, it's just too slow paced. I don't like how slow my musket fires." And I'm like, "That's the point. That's the point. Like you're
Because if
supposed
you
to
don't hit
be."
your shot,
Yeah,
you're shitting your pants.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
well, so
yeah,
and for those who don't know, Ginger and I, we were roommates in college for a year,
yeah.
and that we played. I can't tell you how many nights, like on Friday nights, because we were super cool and outgoing in college. I can't tell
Yeah,
you
yeah.
how many Friday nights we spent with a fresh bottle of Jack Daniels on the coffee table, and and like a Little Caesars pizza in the kitchen, and we're sitting there on the couch, both of us, and like occasionally one of our other friends from college would come over and play it too, and we
Yeah.
just sat there for hours on end, and we would just play Napoleonic Wars, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I
So much
remember when Viking Conquest came out too,
Oh,
because I don't know. Have
yes.
you guys ever played the Britain Walda mod?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I played the shit out of it, right? Like it actually got me super interested in that time period. I started like Googling the
Mhm.
Anglo-Saxon period and the fall of the Roman Empire and all this crap, right? Like that. I spent way more time than I needed to learning about the history of Europe because of
Yeah.
Britain Walda. And then Viking Conquest came out, which to my understanding was a lot of the same guys who developed that mod.
Yeah.
That mod was just so successful that they were like, "Hey, dudes, you got to make us an actual DLC." And they came out with Viking Conquest. And like you were saying about the mods, it adds this whole new dynamic to gaming that console just doesn't have because you're basically playing it feels like you're either playing a brand new game or it feels like you're maybe playing a sequel to a game that you already enjoy
Mhm.
because of those talented
Mhm.
modders that are completely changing the experience of this game that you love and giving you a bunch of new ways to play it. That's something that's really special about, about PC gaming.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
love it. I mean, I love the creativity. I just don't see it really anywhere else. I mean, and the PC has its like heavy hitter, AAA studios that are, in my opinion, not really putting out a whole lot of new stuff. They get it right occasionally, but like I love indie games. I love, like the Steam. It's transferred over to like my love of modding, which you could just find it on forums and stuff online, has been transferred over to kind of Steam now, and
Mhm.
that's like with the repository of all that good shit happening.
Look
At
at the
least as
DayZ
far as my
mods. Those are
interests.
all in the Steam Workshop,
Right.
Yep.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you talk about mods and how it's basically like playing a new game, and it's kind of cool to see how mods of games have become standalone games now, right?
Mm.
If I recall, DayZ was a Arma mod.
It was an
maybe?
Arma 2 mod. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And now it's its own game. You know, so it's really cool. And then I think wasn't Squad a Battlefield mod or something?
Yeah, Project Reality.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it turned into a stand. So
That I didn't know.
It's so cool. How these, you know, a really popular mod can turn into someone creating a full-fledged
Think
game.
about this second though. Like, not only was DayZ a mod that turnn into a standalone game, DayZ was a mod that created a completely new genre in video gaming altogether.
Yeah.
So that mod is a perfect example of how you're taking a game, Arma 2, and basically completely transforming it into a completely new game and a completely new genre that has spawned so many other games like it. That's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And that's what giving a entire world of people the ability to you know, put their creative minds to work. That's what you get out of that, right? Whereas consoles, you are absolutely limited to big time publishers who have the money and stuff to go through the hoops of getting it to console. That's the only thing you're ever going to get. And once it's there, you're not getting anything else from it unless you buy an expansion pack or something, or a sequel. But on the PC, with the ability of people to go in and actually edit things and get it to the end users easily, that's what you get out of it. And that's why, that alone is why PC, you know, forget even the performance specs, which is, you know, that's just a no-brainer. But just the ability of what you're able to get on a PC is incredible.
With that being said, though, console does have its up and coming stuff. Like Xbox Game Pass, phenomenal. Like, I'm actually really happy to see that. You know, that's something that a lot of console gamers get to enjoy, is playing a lot of not just like, you know, bullshit games, good games, really good games for, what is it, like $15 a month for them? I pay $5 a month for the PC version of it. And EA Games has actually merged with Microsoft now, so that they're going to be having like Battlefield and freaking Titanfall and all of like the EA games on Game Pass now, which is like huge news for Xbox. That is massive news. So the consoles are doing some things very right. You know, and they definitely have their place in gaming. I'm not like trashing console gaming, like, oh, PC master race, blah, blah, blah. Like, console gaming has its place because PC gaming has its frustrations too. Like, you ever have a game that you got that you just cannot get to work right, and you're trying to figure out and go through like the freaking pages of settings on the game to try to figure out how to best optimize that game for your computer, because maybe your computer's a little bit outdated, or even just like, so, you know, you add some software and you're trying to get it to work with your games.
Working.
Like, consoles have the benefit of, I just put the disc in the disc tray, I close it, and it works. Like, that's it, you know? So that is what's nice about consoles. And, you know, the Xbox Game Pass really was a game changer for them. PlayStation has basically just their exclusives. I think that's really all they have going for them, which is enough because their exclusives are really great. But
and I was about to say, in no way am I trying to trash console gamers or consoles at all, because I think, as we've seen in our lives, all three of us, consoles played a big part of video gaming life, and they have, you know, a place in gaming.
Most people who start gaming start on consoles. You know, most people who start gaming don't usually start on PCs unless they have somebody
was not
that
trying
knows how to
to
do it.
like alienate anyone who, because they, you know, are on console or anything. It's just,
get out of here, console players. Stop listening right now.
Listen to
Gone.
He's mean. He's rude. He doesn't mean what he says. So what was your guys's? I love nostalgia and stuff. So what is your like most nostalgic or fondest video game memory from back in the day? I'll lead it off to give you an example. So one of my fondest video game memories, it's going to sound really nerdy and dumb, but Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Xbox 360.
Preach, brother.
I remember just laying in bed like in the wee hours of the morning, and I mean, I'm just playing Oblivion. You know, I'm doing like no fast travel, so I'm just like walking around the landscape, going from place to place, walking around in that world. there's just something about it, like just being kind of immersed, super super cozy in your own home, and then just being immersed in that world. Uh, I don't know why, but that game just did it for me on a nostalgia perspective. I always think back to that game and how just how like no cares in the real world that I had, because I'm just sitting there laying in bed. It's 1 a.m. and I'm just playing Oblivion.
I'll tell you why, because you felt like you can go anywhere and do anything when you played it.
It
And I
was
think that was
incredible.
like, there was Elder Scrolls games before that. A lot of people feel the same way about Morrowind. I don't,
Mhm.
because Elder Scrolls Oblivion was the first Elder Scrolls game that I played. And
Same.
so there is going to be no Elder Scrolls experience that tops Oblivion for me, I think. And I think a lot of people that started playing when Morrowind came out would say the same thing about Morrowind. They'll say that Oblivion and Skyrim and all that stuff just doesn't stack up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with me for Fallout 3. Like, none of the Fallout games are ever going to stack up to Fallout 3 for me, because it was the first one that I played. Fully immersed myself into this thing that was brand new to me, that I had never experienced before. And that first time experience is just unbeatable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it's funny you bring that up, because Skyrim is an incredible
Was
game. And
phenomenal. Yeah,
I
is
mean, it's
phenomenal.
just an absolutely incredible game. But to your point, there's something about it that just doesn't compete with Oblivion for me. And I think, to your
Yeah.
point, I think it was that very first Elder Scrolls game, and it like changed me as a human being, man.
If
It
you
was
really
it
think
was
about it too, everything's better about Skyrim. Like the leveling system, the world doesn't freeze when you talk to NPCs. NPCs are all walking around doing their own thing. Like,
I'm gonna disagree on one of those top points. The leveling system in Skyrim, in my opinion, was better, because the issue with Oblivion was, if you recall, you had major traits and minor traits. And your major traits were things like the type of armor, so heavy armor, light armor, two-handed, one-handed, things like that.
yeah.
Um, and you had to pick those, of course, at onset of the game. And the only way you could level your character in Oblivion was to increase your major skills. None of your minor skills did anything for your level, like your overall level progression. So if you got halfway into your playthrough on Oblivion and you realized you wanted to be more of a one-handed guy, but you had two-handed selected, or
Right.
whatnot, you were shit out of luck. You couldn't level up anymore. And I can't tell you how many times. Well, I probably could tell you, it's like two or three times where I got into a playthrough and started playing in a different way, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden I was shit out of luck on leveling and I couldn't level up anymore. In Skyrim, advancing any skill advances your level, and I feel like that gives you a little more it allows for a little more dynamic gameplay throughout the life of your run through. And I like that, because you could kind of swap around on and change how you wanted to play the game without sacrificing your overall leveling.
I think we just said the same thing though. You said you enjoy Skyrim
Yeah.
better, right? Skyrim's leveling system.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I went
Okay.
on a tangent for no reason. Yeah, I thought you
Well,
meant
no, the
the
tangent's still
Oblivion.
valid because I agree with all those points.
Okay, I thought you meant you like the Oblivion
No,
leveling
no.
system.
I'm saying that even though Skyrim's game mechanics were all objectively better than, and then better is like a broad term, but better to
Yep.
me than Oblivion,
Yep.
I still enjoyed the experience of Oblivion more, because I felt like I was exploring the Elder Scrolls universe and all of its lore for the first time, and nothing will ever beat that.
Yeah.
I think Oblivion's better because the lore fits a little better into the storyline. Like
Yeah.
you get exposed to all the different races, all the different like gods, and the the interactions between all the different forces in
Mm.
Skyrim. You're kind of, as I agree that mostly it's an improvement, objectively speaking, but subjectively it just didn't have the same life to it. I didn't feel like in the story and the lore. But yeah, it's just me.
That's a good point, though, because in Skyrim, when you talk about like the different races in the Elder Scroll games, and how you're right, like everywhere you went, you could go in Oblivion. There was like there was the towns that was predominantly Argonians, and
Mhm.
of course the Imperial City was filled with Imperials, and there was somewhere in Oblivion for all of those races, whereas in Skyrim I feel like it's very Nord versus Elf kind of type.
Everywhere you go, yeah.
everywhere
Everybody
you
hates
go,
dark elves wherever you go or whatever.
right.
Yeah,
And but and the like the Khajiit and the Argonians and the other ones, they play very minimal kind of, they're the outliers, right? They're in the game, but they're not.
they're usually just traveling merchants or whatever. They're
Exactly.
barely even a thing. They're barely even acknowledged. Plus, they look weird in Skyrim. I thought they looked a lot better in Oblivion. I remember playing Oblivion, and I was going through like the race selection when you're creating your character, and I was like, "Holy shit! There's cat people! What the fuck?
Holy shit! You can be Godzilla.
I could be a freaking cat." So I was a cat. I don't even like cats, but that was the first time I ever saw a race like that in any video game. So I was like, I'm gonna be a cat person because that's different.
They had like the night vision, like as a core trait, right? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then like the Argonians are immune to like poisons and stuff because
they're immune to disease or something, or resistant to it. They could breathe underwater, which is freaking awesome for stealth characters.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah. No, that was I didn't even think about it in that way, Kyle, with the way all the races played into Oblivion.
You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I think
Have you guys played Elder Scrolls Online?
What's that?
Say what?
You played Elder Scrolls Online?
I've never played Elder Scrolls Online.
It was I thought it was kind of disappointing. Because I wanted the combat from Skyrim and Oblivion, like I just wanted that combat, but it still feels too like World of Warcraft-ish, where you're aiming at somebody and like it doesn't matter if you shoot him in the head or the knee, or you'll do the same damage, and it's all based on RNG. What I think did MMO combat phenomenally was the New World. When that preview came out, it was an action RPG and also an MMO at the same time. It was the first game I played that. When I started playing World of Warcraft, I actually don't like the combat of World of Warcraft at all. Like, you just sit there and you spam the same freaking spells over and over, and your spells are on cooldown, and like your character's doing like just some weird animation. I don't know. I like World of Warcraft because the world is so huge, and like, it's kind of like Oblivion. Like, it opens you up to this whole new world and all this lore that the devs really did a phenomenal job writing into the game. But for me, like, combat is huge, and New World was absolutely phenomenal because it had the economy and the cities and all the stuff that you want from MMOs. Actually, the economy of the game was completely player driven. So everything, there was no NPC merchants at all. It was literally just everything that you could buy was either crafted or found by another player, and they're selling it on this global market, or they'll go to a city and they'll sell it in that city's market. And it was a very unique economy experience. And it's not the first game that's done that, but it is the first game that added that with a phenomenal combat system with, massive people, like massive amounts of people that are wandering around the world and creating this really awesome open world PvP experience. And even the battlegrounds were freaking phenomenal because, hey, you shoot someone in the head, it's a critical hit. I don't know why MMOs like that. Why it's the first MMO to have done that. Maybe they just figured out some formula to get it to work where other guys couldn't. But something like that was just great for me. I really can't wait for that game to freaking come out and fully release.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that one. It does look interesting. Although I don't know, I don't have any more business buying any more fucking games. I have too many that I'm trying to.
It doesn't come out till spring, so
Oh,
you have some time to think about it.
You have plenty of time to work through your backlog.
God. What topic are we on? What game? Our fondest memories?
I was about to say, I think I'm the only one to have actually shared, and then we went on a big tangent. So,
I would have probably said Oblivion as well. But
well, too bad I took it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll pick another one.
I'll do another one. What? Were you?
No. Go ahead.
Well, I think mine was I shared this with everybody on the last call, but I think mine has probably got to be like if I have to look back in my memory, which is admittedly foggy nowadays, and think about the gaming moment that really grabbed me when I was like a kid. I can think of tons, by the way, over the last 5-10 years, but when I was a kid, I remember, and actually it's going to be a console game, so I take back everything I said about consoles. I played Mass Effect on
Oh
Xbox
God.
360, and Mass Effect the first one, I don't remember as much about the second one, and I never played the third one. The first game, um, in my nostalgic rose-colored glasses memory, is one of the best stories in video game history, and I got so invested in that story. I haven't felt that invested in a story until I got to Red Dead Redemption 2 and immersed in a game that way. And by the way, I haven't finished
Phenomenal.
Red Dead Redemption 2 because I'm too afraid of it ending and everyone fucking dying, because I know that's going to happen. Anyway, I'm going to do that one day. But Mass Effect, I got like it did such a great job. Like, you would be introduced to a character and you would get to know them over the course of how many ever hours your playthrough was. And then you actually got to play with them as people in your party and learn their like you got connected to them, like kind of on an emotional level, and then also on a like an appreciation level for their skill set and what they brought to the whole party. And you would literally go in, I played it like I would go into missions and I'd be like, okay, like I'm going to take the tank and I'm going to take the support class and I'm going to play, kind of mid, I'm going to be both. And then we're going to do this. Anyway, long story short, I got really into the character of Erdnot Rex, the big tanky alien dude. And I just thought like he was like a character that was like super gruff and kind of a dickhead. And then you figured out like the reason he's like that is because he's basically he's seen his people just be massacred over like I think they lived for a long time and used up and massacred. Anyway, there's a point in the story where you have to like you make a decision that really pisses Rex off. And I loved his character because I love playing tanks in those kind of RPGs and stuff. And I also just loved his character. And you piss him off and you come to a decision point. Like, all I remember, and I did look at this up on YouTube, this is not just my memory, this is actually how it happens. But you enter this arena and Rex is standing in front of this pond with his shotgun, and and you can tell instantly he's so pissed because he's just shooting. He's like just shooting like the fish in there. And then you start to talk to him, and it's a point where you have to make a decision in the video game. Like, am I going to try to smooth over relations with him, or has he become a danger to the team and I'm going to have to fucking kill him? And I decided like I would try to smooth over relations with him just because I like that character. But my point in all this is like that was one of the first moments in video gaming where I realized like the power of like storytelling and the like the build up to these really pivotal, important moments in your gaming, and like how games sort of, that's not really an example of emergent storytelling. But later on in my gaming career, I came to really love like the emergent storytelling, like what happens when all these different disparate randomness kind of comes together and you create a story out of it. I mean, that one's a narrative storytelling, which I think it does super, super well. But yeah, I don't know. That's always made an impression on me. I've almost, I'm realizing now that I'm talking about this to the degree to which I judge other games' storytelling ability on how Mass Effect made me feel in that moment, and others. I mean, there was tons more, but that one in particular was like, oh wow, this is a hard decision, like an actual not black and white decision that you have to make in a game. I just love it.
Walking Dead from Telltale Games had
Oh shit.
tons of those moments.
Woo!
Tons of those moments.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't have kids, right? But God damn it, Clementine was like my daughter, and I was never going to let anything bad happen to her ever.
Yeah.
But holy crap, like when somebody gets bit and now you have to make the decision like, oh man, this person's really valuable asset to the team, but now they've just become a liability. What if they turn, what if freaking Clementine gets bit by this person because I let them live? What if this happens? Like now you feel this huge weight on your shoulders where you don't know if you're making the right decision or not. And that makes you feel like no other, like that game is just phenomenal. Telltale Games did so good with The Walking Dead.
I'm gonna go real deep here. I think that those sorts of like those sorts of decisions where exactly what you said, you don't know what the right decision is, and the game doesn't fucking tell you what the right decisions are. That like actually had an effect on me, like in my emotional and mental development, like and moral development as a person. I'm not even fucking joking.
No, I know.
Like, I mean, I think that it really like you know, like people talk about like I hate people that shit on video games, right? Like I really that shit pisses me off because most of the time it's boomers or it's some, you know, like guy our age who's small brain, you know, I don't know, fucking into jujitsu or some shit like, oh, video games. It's like no, like video games are like our generation's like literature, right? And our culture, and it teaches you things. I mean, yeah, a lot of it's dumb fucking fun, you know, Duke Nukem and Doom and shit, but like a lot of it is like actually teaching you good shit, you know? Like
If it
life is
wasn't
not black
for
and
the
white.
Britain Walda mod on Mountain Blade Warband, I would have never went out of my way to look up the fall of the Roman Empire or the Anglo-Saxon period or the period of time where Vikings were going and freaking pillaging and fucking shit up in England. Like I wouldn't know any of that stuff. That game actually caused an interest. I learned a little bit from the game itself because a lot of that game was historically accurate, but you never know because the entertainment industry will sometimes alter the truth to make things more entertaining. But it piqued my interest and allowed me to go and explore more of those answers on my own. And you're like, no kidding, dude. Video games do shape your development as a person. And I think I know a lot more that I wouldn't otherwise know if I hadn't played certain video games.
You want to talk about piquing an interest in like a historical thing, going back to two different games that kind of, so I'm kind of infatuated with the Crusades, that time frame. And Medieval 2 Total War had a Crusades expansion that was incredible, and the original Assassin's Creed that was based in like Jerusalem, Damascus, and stuff like that. I loved those because it was like so I would say like Medieval 2 probably kind of piqued my interest in the Crusades, and I read up about it a lot. And then like being able to go into the Assassin's Creed game, the original one, and like immerse yourself in these cities that you only ever read about and stuff like that in this time frame, so cool. And so to your point, like I wouldn't know as much as I know about like the Crusades if it wasn't for video games, because it would pique.
Otherwise, you wouldn't care. You wouldn't even care to look it up.
Otherwise, I'm just in world history and just get me the fuck out of here, bro.
Right.
Not in school. Like,
just saying, God of War really helped me out with Greek mythology when I was taking that in my history class. Okay, like in my global studies. What I even know what class, social studies, whatever class that was. I aced that freaking test because of God of War. Just saying.
Hell yeah.
Well, and going back to Ryan's point about like earlier point to just tie it back into earlier, like the city skylines things. Like how many times have you thought about like what actually goes into a fucking, you know, an exit on a highway? And
now
like,
I know why my local highway is such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You're trying to build it.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Freaking
I think so. Moving on into our next topic to kind of to get close to wrapping us up. So we talked about, you know, how have games played, you know, an impact in our lives? What did we start playing? What's our favorite, you know, memory from back in the day? Moving it up to right now, pick, you know, I think all of us would be probably considered kind of variety streamers in a sense. I do think we all have a kind of a game that we all play more than others. But out of the games you're playing right now, pick one and tell us about that game and why you're playing it and why you love it right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and just kick this off. DayZ is phenomenal. So I never played the mod DayZ, right? And I know that a lot of people who started playing the mod don't enjoy standalone as much. I don't know. I started playing standalone when it was in very, very early alpha. And it was in alpha for like freaking 5 years or something crazy like that. So it turns a lot of people off that it took the development team that long to finish this game. And even now, some people would say it's not totally finished because it has its bugs, it has its quirks. But when you're playing DayZ, you're not playing it I guess I'll speak for myself here. When I'm playing DayZ, I'm not playing it for just, you know, the PvP, even though combat is an important part of a survival game. The purpose of DayZ isn't to fight other players. The purpose of DayZ is to survive. And what makes the game so special and separate from other games is the stories that are created through human interaction with other players who are playing the game. No other game has hit me as DayZ does when it comes to every single life that your character has is a completely different story. Like, you have a completely new character, you're on new adventures, you're meeting new people. And when you go on adventures with those new people, and you're literally every single time you team up with someone, you're getting to know a new person, right? And you're developing this relationship with them, and you're watching each other's backs. And then that person gets shot in the head, and then you're alone, right? And you're like, holy shit.
Who you are as a human being, you never trust anyone.
Yeah. Or like, what other game does that, dude? Like, I just got to know this guy. He was really freaking cool. We were having a really good time, and now he just got shot in the fucking head. Like, now I'm all alone again, you know? Like, and then you finish out the rest of your
people
adventure.
near you. Like, why don't you let people into your heart ever? Well, it's because they keep getting shot in the head.
Yeah, either that or, you know, they turn up like they end up betraying you, which happens less and less. So the DayZ community now has changed a little bit, and I think it depends a lot on the servers that you play on. I've been playing a lot of the day one servers, and the community on those servers is generally pretty good. Where you'll meet someone, and like, I still don't trust anybody off the beginning. You'll notice that if I have a can of food and another guy has a knife, right, and like I need to open that can of food, I won't open it. I'll give that guy the can of food and be like, hey, can you open this for me? Because they'll wait for you to go in the animation for, like, you know, trying to open the food, and then they'll fucking club you over the head with a shovel or something like that. So, like, you know, I don't trust anybody too much, but you know, during like the early stages of the game, I'm typically more trusting because it allows you to try to meet people, and if they betray you, fine, whatever. You know, it's the beginning of your character's life. Like, you're not losing much, but if you do end up teaming up with someone and you go on these adventures and you're always going to a different place and you're always having different encounters, you know, like oh shit, I just, you know, there's a guy over there, and you're whispering to each other like, oh man, what do you think? What do you think we should do with this guy? Oh man, we gotta kill him. We got too many mouths to feed. And you end up killing him. The gunshot brings hordes of zombies, and you're freaking fighting off these zombies, and all the attention brings other players into the mix, and like, there's just total chaos. But every single adventure is brand new, and every single adventure is completely unique from your last adventure. And so for that reason, DayZ will never get old to me. And through modding, there's a million different ways to play the game. You know, I've played DayZ as a hardcore survival game. I've played DayZ where I grew a marijuana farm and we were running drugs. And I was talking to Ginger and a few others about this yesterday, where we had this grow op, and we would go to these black market traders, right? And we would fill up a trunk of a car just full of marijuana, just full of freaking drugs. And we'd go over to the trader, and we'd have two people running marijuana to the trader, and other two people literally just there as armed guards. Like, we were just freaking... There's a million and one ways to play DayZ, and modding gives you even more ways to play it. And there's just, if I had to play one game for the rest of my life, it would either be DayZ or Tarkov. One of those two games. I mean, there's too much. There's too much to do. You'll never run out.
You're the Pablo Escobar of DayZ.
Bro, I'm telling you, we had a good thing going. We need
to table that, like that question about like, what game, if you had to choose a game to play just for the rest of your life, what would you pick? Because that would be fucking hard.
That'll be good content for a future one.
That might be maybe the next episode we could do a whole episode just about that one.
May need it.
I'll throw some AK knowledge in that one too. So.
All right, word.
So Ginger?
I'm a notoriously ADD gamer. And I have I think I have over 200 Steam games. I don't know how many I have on Epic and Origin and all the other games, but I probably have close to 300 games, like, not even joking. And so I tend to bounce around. Of course, Tarkov has really grabbed me over the past like 2 or 3 months. I don't know if I really want to talk about Tarkov though, because like I'm not pissed at that game, but it just like, I think I'm on the downside. I think it's like heroin. Like, I'm gonna come back, but like, you know, I think right now I need, back. You know, I'll talk about Crusader Kings, because that's a new one that I'm kind of into. So Paradox Interactive released Crusader Kings 3, which is of course the third one in the series. I think it was like in September 1st, so it's only been out a couple of weeks now. I played the hell out of Crusader Kings 2 when that came out, and This one is a lot more polished. It makes a lot more sense. The graphics are better. I've been having a lot of fun with it. The thing I love about Crusader Kings 3 is with the other Crusader Kings, it sort of lulls you into thinking it's a grand strategy game, which it certainly has grand strategy elements, but it's a game where you're playing a dynasty and you're playing a person, not a kingdom. So basically, you are governing a bunch of fucking assholes that are always infighting, and they might like you and they might not like you, your vassals and your landowners, right? And you have a tenuous at best, unless you have a really cool character that everybody really likes. You have a tenuous at best hold on all the different things happening in your kingdom. So right now, for instance, I'm on my playthrough, I'm playing through on stream, I'm King Alfred of Wessex, and I've gotten really lucky, and I've also got a killer King Alfred character who was a the historical guy. If you've ever seen The Last Kingdom on Netflix and BBC, that's the king in that show is King Alfred. And so he basically beat off the Danish invasion of Europe and sort of unified all these Anglo-Saxons, the King of England before it was really a thing. This is like Dark Ages England, Dark Ages Europe, actually.
He
So anyway,
unified everybody and beat off the what is it? The Norwegians? Oh, the
yeah,
Danish.
they're the
Oh.
Danes. Yeah, Vikings basically is what he did. He beat them.
He beat him off.
He
beat him off. He unified everybody and beat off the Danish.
That's how you end the war. You beat them off.
So anyway, but that game, like talking about like emergent storytelling, man, that's scratching the itch for me. Like I had the funny thing that happened in my game was I kind of got distracted up to the north of my kingdom with a war, and while I was at war with someone else, another Viking guy declared war on me, and he beat me to my capital, and ended up taking. He had like a really a small army. Like I could have just crushed him, but just because of the logistics of getting down there, I couldn't get down there in time. He captures my wife and my heir and my daughter, and I'm like, all right, this is fucking bullshit. And so I go down and just scorched earth, like just, fuck him up and end the war. And then I'm like, all right, like give me my fucking wife back. Like that's my baby. And then I get an indicator that he's a Viking, and so one of their cultural things is they can take concubines. So he's taken my wife as a concubine, and then she's divorced me, and so now, like, I'm like, what the fuck? And so then I immediately start plotting to kill him. Like,
GG, time to re-roll a campaign at that point.
Yeah, put some F's down in the comments for Ginger's wife. I mean, that's a rough life.
I'm committed, to this character and not to like restarting or anything. So now I got to go find a new wife and like, start making babies again.
You should go steal a Danish wife, dude, like some Viking wife.
I know,
just
right?
beat him off is what you should have done.
Beat him off. I should have done that.
I think his wife's doing that plenty now, or his ex-wife. Sorry.
Somebody put in my chat like, this is like the very definition of get cucked, Ginger.
Yeah, like you are literally being cucked.
Pretty much what's happened. So anyway, I've been enjoying Crusader Kings. I highly recommend it. It's just like that's not even the craziest thing that can happen in that game, but it's a medieval role playing like The Sims wrapped up in a grand strategy package, and it's pretty fucking awesome.
So I struggled on how to answer this question, to be honest, because I think the obvious answer for me is Warzone, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Because I mean, if you've watched my stream, while I consider myself a variety streamer because I will play kind of whatever I'm feeling at that time. Warzone has definitely, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare in general, has been my game since I started streaming. So, you guys put in some really good, kind of real good, means a lot to you, kind of in what I'd consider indie-ish games. I'm going to have to go with Warzone just because that's been my game. So Warzone, probably everyone in the world has heard about it, so I don't need to really explain much to you. But Call of Duty, I think why I'm going to talk about it is because I can talk about Call of Duty. And Call of Duty's been a game that I've played since the very first one. And it's a game that I played Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the very first one specifically, I played heavily. I played semi-competitive. I went to little tournaments in my hometown and stuff. I played the hell out of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So when they announced they were going to do a new Modern Warfare, I lost my shit. And I was so excited. And I played the beta and I was in love. I loved it. And so I've been playing that since it came out in October, I think, or something. Yeah. And I've been playing it since. I took the day off when it came out. I played the shit out of it. And I love the game. And when they introduced Warzone as the battle royale, battle royales are of course kind of the thing right now, it seems like. And I played a ton of PUBG. And that's kind of my first foray into the battle royale games. But I think Warzone just does a great job of kind of bringing in all of the fun of a battle royale and kind of keeps out some of the items that can make battle royales seem kind of tedious. I think the looting is all great and whatnot. And my favorite thing about it is it brings in the gameplay mechanics of Call of Duty, which is something I'm extremely familiar with. And, I'm halfway decent at, and it's just, I really enjoy it. And one thing I kind of I talk to people about, differences between, say, PUBG, the other battle royale that I've really ever only played. When I played PUBG, when I went into a round, well, I'll start at the vice versa is when I go into a game of Warzone, I go in expecting to win that game of Warzone. Yeah. I go in with the idea that I'm gonna win. When I went into a game of PUBG, I just wanted to survive a little bit. Like it was, a win was just something that came along. Like I don't know how many wins I ever had in PUBG, but it was not more than maybe 20 or so. Maybe.
So were you the guy that dropped into Pachinki or didn't drop into Pachinki?
Very rarely did I drop into Pachinki. I went. Yeah. There was some freaking town started with a G.
I
don't remember. But
shooting range.
Yeah. Oh, we drop shooting range all the time as well. Yeah. But I did not ever feel super confident in my PUBG play. In Warzone, because I love Call of Duty and been playing it forever, and feel like I'm halfway decent at it. I can go into Warzone with a a mindset of like, I'm going to win this game, which you could probably make the argument is not as good, because then when you don't win the game, it's really fucking aggravating. Whereas in another game where you're not as confident, the win comes along and you're like, heck yeah, hell yeah. But I don't know. It's been a great game. It has not been absent of its faults and issues. And really in the grand scheme of things, Activision really kind of fucked up with a lot of things on it. But it has been an incredible battle royale game. It has been a great Call of Duty, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who feel like this was not a good Call of Duty. I think it was a great Call of Duty.
And when I played, I thought it was phenomenal. I mean,
it's fantastic.
It's just great. I really do enjoy it, and it was a good foray back into Modern Warfare, in my opinion, and I loved it. They brought a lot of the Call of Duty 4 maps back, which I don't know if. So I hate the Call of Duty 4 maps on the new Modern Warfare. I hate them because I realize how campy they were. Like, it's unreal. And so I kept thinking to myself, why did I not hate this map back in Call of Duty 4? And what I think I came back to was, back in Call of Duty 4, we didn't have this stupid thing that we call matchmaking. Mm-hmm. It was, you joined a dedicated server, and that dedicated server had a list of rules. And at the time, I was in a called a clan. I was in a clan, and we had a dedicated server as that clan. And one of the rules the clan had was no fucking camping. And so I think that's why I never experienced campers on those maps, was because we didn't play. The server we played on, there were no campers in it. And in matchmaking, you just do whatever the hell you want, and you can play like a little bitch. And so it's actually kind of funny when I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Well, I hear about like, Deke and how he's like, I mean, he's a little rat. He just sits places and he's like, I'm just gonna shoot and I'm like, oh my god, I would freak.
Well, the problem is it's a valid tactic. I mean, and
no, it is
like hardcore tactical shooting game, that's the move, honestly.
Even in Call of Duty, technically it's a valid tactic. Like, people get plenty of kills, I mean, isn't that the point, is to kill? Like, I'm pissed because I'm dying, of course, but
but it works.
In the end,
but it works.
They kill me, but I just like, I get so frustrated because I've got my play style and I think it's fun and and you could make that whole argument. We may have that conversation.
Well, your play style brings much better highlights, I'd say.
I agree. I agree. It also brings a hell of a lot of anger.
AngryPrivateRyan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it works out for everyone. So yeah, I to sum up, Warzone, it really throughout my short streaming career has been the game that I play, and I'm continuing to play. But that we may come back to this question here in several podcast episodes and see if it's changed. Because I think there's a lot of cool things coming out, and we'll see how it goes. But that's what I've got going.
What time are we at right now?
1 hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, that's not bad. I thought we were way over.
I think we did pretty good overall.
Right.
That being said, I mean, do you guys have anything else we want to wrap it up?
Take it away, host.
All right. So
hey, talk about real quick what we're doing, like how many of these we're gonna try to release, and then like what our stream team. I don't know. You might have been able to. You might be doing that. I'll shut up.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't even know what I was going to talk about, and you came in here and tried to puppeteer my ass. You tried to puppeteer my ass. All right. So, guys, thank you so much, for checking out this. I hope you enjoyed. We've got a lot more fun content like this coming. So, I will satisfy Ginger's desires here, and we will say that. I think, what did we say? We're going to do one of these every other week, or right? Or were we going to do them every week? I think we decided on every other week. Yeah. So we're going to try to do one of these podcasts basically.
Did you even take notes, Ryan?
No, I didn't. I'm pretty stupid. So we're going to do this twice a month. This one we're going to try to get into a good cadence where we've got the editing, going on while we're not uploading one, so we can kind of get a good, you'll actually see one every 2 weeks. There will be, by the time this is uploaded, we probably will have announced kind of what Easy Company is about the same time that this is going live. We'll have a YouTube link, and we'll kind of be talking more about it on our streams about the time you're seeing this on YouTube. So every other week you should be seeing a podcast, and then we're also going to be starting up what we're calling team streams, and we're going to basically, I think, same thing with that one. Every other week, we'll kind of have a dedicated day of streaming. I think we came to the agreement that the best time it's going to probably work is Sundays. So Sunday afternoons / mornings for folks in Pacific Standard Time. We will have team streams where we're going to pick a game that we all three play kind of together. And it'll be kind of an opportunity for us to take our the three of us onto the live realm instead of the recorded realm. And so I think there's a lot of content coming. I think we have ideas for doing, more videos than just the podcast that'll go up on the YouTube channel. So I think we got a lot of coming. Did I miss anything there, boss man?
Give us your feedback.
Yeah, definitely give us some feedback. Let us know if you have ideas that could improve the podcast, or ideas for the content in any way.
Maybe games you want to see us play.
Games you want to see us play. Yeah. So on those the team streams, it'd be really cool if we could get, feedback on what you guys would like to see all three of us play together. we've got plenty of ideas, but if there's something you think that would be fun to watch us three play together, let us know. But outside of that, again, give us feedback. Let us know what you think. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been the first episode of the Easy Company podcast. Again, my name is AngryPrivateRyan. With me today was GingerBeerd and Tango. I had a blast, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out.
It was fun.
And I can't wait to do the second one. I think we got a lot of fun stuff coming. So
Yeah,
thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.
Bye. That was super good, dudes.
It was.
Awesome.
It literally. It won't stop recording though.
It's the show that never ends.